Hi folks, Mark here. Just wanted to let you know that the episode you're about to hear was recorded a little over a week before the day we actually posted it. We had to record early due to some scheduling conflicts Dr. Mike and I had. Since the time of the recording, several announcements have been made that obviously didn't make it into the show. One of the big announcements was that Derek Stevens and his brother Greg bought the Las Vegas Club. That's great news for people who were tired of walking into a casino that smelled like a porta potty. No doubt Derek and Greg will renovate that place nicely. The other announcement was that Dr. Dave Schwartz has started a Kickstarter campaign for his new book, Boardwalk Playground, which chronicles the history of Atlantic City. So please head on over to Kickstarter and check that out. Also, during this episode, you'll hear us ask a question about using your credit card to purchase casino chips on a cruise ship. That question was pretty much answered on the latest episode of Gambling with an Edge, so be sure to check that out. And finally, we received several phone calls, emails, and PayPal donations during this past week that, again, obviously you won't hear us acknowledge on this episode, but be assured that we'll address them on our next show. So, with that in mind, please enjoy this now woefully out-of-date episode. Enjoy! August 20th, 2015. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 79 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, Mike, casino etiquette.
All right.
How to behave in the casino, what to do, what not to do, how you should be treated, that kind of thing. That's always a topic that comes up.
Yeah, because if you see somebody breaking etiquette, it's like they don't belong in a casino.
That's right.
We've never seen that. We've never seen anybody who we thought, oh, that person really doesn't belong in a casino.
I've never seen a person that I've thought, that person doesn't belong in a casino.
We're still looking for that person. Someday we're going to see somebody and it's going to click like, oh, they don't belong here. What the hell are they doing here?
Well, we got several emails, some of which are directly connected to etiquette and some are kind of connected to etiquette. So let's jump into some of these emails.
All right.
First of all, we got one from Taylor. I'm just going to read what he wrote here. What's the etiquette for correcting the stickman at the craps table? There was a situation last year at Harrah's Cherokee. Dice were being thrown to my side of the table. One die landed on a pass line bet awkwardly, and the stickman said, call it. Because sometimes the stickman can't see both dice, right? So he asked for help from one of the other dealers.
Right.
You know. The dealer next to me said 12, but it was actually 11. About 5 of us on my side of the table all looked at each other and didn't know what to do. As far as I could tell, none of us had any bets on either yo or 12. What would you do in this situation if there were other people prop betting on high-low or yo?
Well, here's what I would do.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, and I want to bring this up. It's kind of a little side topic, but when you make your odds bet on the pass line.
Oh, this is a good point. Yeah.
Make sure that your odds bet is not so close to your pass line bet that the dice might get stuck in between them.
Right. Always.
Some people do that. I always make a lot of space.
Make sure there's enough space so that if one of the dice hits right in the middle there, it's not going to be leaning.
Right. It's not
between
leaning
both
in
stacks.
between them. And then it's a judgment call type thing.
Right.
So make sure your bets are stacked accordingly so that they're not going to interfere with dice.
Right. Now that doesn't mean that one of the dice might actually hit the odds back and land on it or be an edge.
Sure.
It's still going to happen, but at least it won't be caught between the two bets.
You caught between the two,
right,
which is a more likely scenario.
Yeah.
But in this case, the way it's supposed to be called is the dealer's supposed to look at the die and say, if I remove the obstruction, in this case the chips, how would the die just fall?
Mm-hmm. If you were to remove the obstruction, how would it fall?
What would be the number that would be up? And let's say it's 5. So if it's 5 and the other dice was a 6, it'd be 11.
Yeah.
Now, he could have been wrong because we've seen that before too.
Sure. Where
they call one thing and it's wrong. Me personally, you kind of have to keep your mouth shut unless you have money on it and it's going to affect you.
Yeah, I kind of agree because, it happens so fast. You may correct the dealer and suddenly most of the people at the table are hurt as a result of your correction, right?
Right.
So you don't want that to happen.
No, and there could be somebody who bet on 11 and there could be somebody who bet on 12.
Sure.
On the other side.
Sure.
So, unless you knew all the layout, if you speak too quick, you might hurt one person and help another. Or,
Yes.
or you might only hurt one person on the other side. So it's probably better not to say anything unless, like I said, it does affect your bet.
Mm-hmm, right.
And then I'd be vehemently arguing, wait a minute.
Sure. If I had a come bet out there, it said, when that wasn't a 12, that was 11. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And you still may not win that.
And, if 7 ever comes up in the middle of the roll, a point's been established and 7 comes up, you should always correct the dealer.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't think that was a 7.
I don't think that. Let's have a
look at it
repeat.
again.
Yeah.
Always correct them.
Yeah, invoke your one mulligan.
Yeah, that's right.
Just, mulligan.
Yeah, get all your money out there. Once you've used your mulligan, then pull back drastically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
$2 bets.
And we got an email from Will. Now, Will was playing with some friends at Gold Nugget in Las Vegas. And at one point, a high roller joined the table on the opposite side from where Will and his friends were playing, right? And so the high roller won a bet, and he tipped one of Will's friends who was shooting at the time. Just tossed him $10 across the table.
Across the table.
Yeah, like 2 $5 chips, right?
All right.
So then later, after there was a stick change, Will himself was rolling. And once again, the high roller wanted to tip. So he tossed Will, again, 2 $5 chips, $10 chips. The stick man said, no, hey, that's not allowed. You can't toss money across the table like that. He let Will keep the $10 that time.
Right.
But then he said, oh, you can't do that. Right. So, Will was wondering, well, can't you? Was it?
I don't think you're supposed to throw money across the table like that. You could run around and hand it to the guy.
Sure.
They got no problem with that. But yeah, tossing it across the table for several reasons I could see. Number one, not everyone's a good thrower.
Well, you're throwing dice.
Yeah, you're throwing dice, but I throw chips. You might hit the stick man.
Sure.
You might hit another player.
Sure.
Right. You're throwing a long distance. You're not aiming for the table. You're aiming up higher.
For a person, right. You're throwing higher. Yeah.
So that could be a problem. But also, you might get chips flying back and forth. It might muddle the pot a little bit.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it depended on the stick man in this case. Right. And, who knows what the casino policy probably is, you're not allowed to do it, but they probably don't enforce it because how often does it really happen?
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
And it's usually because people are having a good time and, somebody's getting tipped.
The better thing to do for the stick man would have just been to say, hey, walk over here and give it to him next time.
Yeah, sure.
Just do it. Just, walk over here or lay it down. And I've done that. I've laid a bet down for another player who's shooting.
Yeah.
And just gave it to the stick man and said, this is for the shooter.
Sure. Or you give it to the dealer right in front of you.
Right.
Here's $10 to the shooter. And then he calls down to his partner at the other end and
they
says,
give him 10
$10
bucks.
Yeah, sure.
That's the better way to do it.
But that's a high roller. He wants to be flipping chips around. So. Will told another story. I think I'm going to tell 2 stories at once to kind of get your sense of what the etiquette situation is here. So he told the story of a crap session at Excalibur where he only broke even, but he had such a good time because of the energy at the table, particularly from a very positive player who was cheering almost every roll. No matter what the roll was, 2, that's double in the field. Yeah. That's 7 out. Oh, well, it wasn't too bad. We'll start
some
again.
alcohol involved here.
Definitely some alcohol involved. Yeah. So he was wondering if we get annoyed when there's a player at the table that gets too excited or positive, would we find something like that tiresome after a while if the table was only okay or if we were losing? Or do you think we would find ourselves getting pumped up too? Now, let me tell his second story here before you answer.
All right.
Will was rolling at the Luxor. He was rolling the dice, and he was trying to pump up the table. He was trying to get the energy going, right?
Good.
So he rolled a 3, and he said, yeah, pay the field. Now, there was kind of an older, seemingly uptight dealer on his side of the table, and the dealer said to Will, you're not in the field. So Will apologized and said, oh, sorry, I know, I'm just cheering for the guys on the other end. Right? So the whole exchange kind of bothered Will a little bit because it's like, well, he doesn't want to upset the dealer, and he's wondering, am I getting on people's nerves, right? Is it, or was he just being too sensitive about that situation? It was just a cranky dealer and, that's going to happen sometime. But he wants to get excited for the game, but he didn't want to get on players or dealers' nerves. So what do you think of that whole,
Well, first of all, I think the dealer needs to eat like a candy bar and mellow out a little bit.
Sure. Like a Snickers or just a Hershey's regular chocolate or with almonds.
Right. A Snickers and he turns into, I don't know.
That's right. Yeah.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz from the...
From what?
From Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you what. You and I are always on the loudest craps table.
Yeah, I wonder how that is.
It's weird. Wherever we play, it's always the loudest craps table.
That's strange.
There'll be 4 tables, and ours is always the loudest. I don't know how that happens. Yeah. So evidently, we like a loud table. We're pretty loud.
Yeah, we can get pretty well, especially if things are going well.
If it's going well, we're very loud. And even when it's not going well, we try and pump it up a little bit. Yeah. Like Mark grabs it. Come on, shooter, talking to himself while he's shooting.
Well, the thing is, though, we're loud and we're pumped up, but we're never rude. I mean, it's always, we're saying funny things. We might be annoying to some people.
Yeah, some people might find that annoying.
But we're never like in people's faces or demeaning.
And I don't think anyone's ever told us to settle down.
Maybe some of the dealers that know us.
Yeah, they have maybe, but in a joking way.
The pit, yeah.
The thing about that is, well, the funny thing is the only time you and I are personally quiet is when we're at a table by ourselves.
Yeah, we don't want anybody else to come over.
We don't want a big crowd.
But we like a lot of room. Yeah.
We don't want anyone to know we're winning.
Yeah.
But when we're with a group, we're pretty loud, and I think it's better.
I do too. I have no problem with it.
It's one of the big draws of craps for me.
Exactly. That's a big part of craps is the social aspect.
Yeah, I hate it just sitting at a table and being real quiet.
Yeah.
Like a pie gow table where you can't see the other guy's hand because it might affect how you set your hand.
Yeah.
So you hardly talk until the hand's over, and then you just
chit-chat. Like, oh, you had a good hand. Yeah.
You never hear like somebody screaming on the pie gow table or blackjack table or something. I mean, every once in a while someone will scream.
Yeah, one person.
Yeah,
it's not like it's the whole table, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You hit, like a hard 8 comes up in the middle of a huge roll.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people on it. You'll be 5 people screaming at the top of their voice. Last week, real quick, we were at a table that wasn't going so well.
Right.
Remember? And we finally rolled a 9, and I think I just screamed out, 9! We got 9! Right. And, the whole casino's looking over there.
And folks, 9 was not the point.
No, it was just a number. But everyone's looking at us like, what's going on? Some people walk over. What happened? You guys hit 6 on the fire? No, we just rolled a 9.
Rolled a 9. That's a good number.
It's a good number.
It's one of the harder ones to roll.
And then the guy rolled like about 4 or 5 more, and every time the whole table was yelling, 9! Pretty soon they were all yelling 9 every time 9 came up.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun. Now, if you're on the don't, keep your mouth shut.
Right. Yeah, right.
But yeah, otherwise, no. I like a table with a positive action and everybody kind of cheering and everything. Yeah. I know there are players who don't.
Oh yeah.
And it's
I've known people who leave it
playing craps because that's part of the game.
Right. Yeah. You want a quiet thing, go play video Keno. Right?
That's quiet, my friend.
That's quiet. Yeah. You're nothing quieter than video Keno.
All right, kind of extending the etiquette topic here. This is kind of how you're treated at a casino. How are the staff at the casino treating you? How's their etiquette?
Yeah, right.
So listen to this story from Mike. I was playing at the Borgata a few years ago and was playing roulette. It was a $10 minimum table, and I bought in for $100 and played 10 numbers at $10 each. I was the only person playing at this table, which was nice. What was even better was I hit 3 times in a row. I decided to do one last spin and bet a little heavier by playing 8 numbers at $25 each. And lo and behold, I hit it again. My excitement turned to anger when the pit boss told the dealer not to pay me. I asked nicely if there was a problem, only to have the pit boss ignore me and reach under the table and pull out a level. He proceeded to check the wheel and the table to make sure everything was level and also checked the ball, almost like he thought I was pulling some kind of Ocean's 11 stunt. After about 5 minutes, he finally told the dealer to pay me. I asked the pit boss again if there was an issue, but he ignored me. Didn't even answer, Mike. Have you heard of anything like this before?
That's terrible.
Isn't that awful?
I have not heard of anything like that. That is terrible. That's a pit boss who, someone peed in his Cheerios.
Yep.
And then after he took the first bite, they took a dump in his Cheerios. And he still took another bite.
Oh, wow.
That's what happened to that guy.
Well, he's foolish, number one. I can tell based on your story.
I mean, that's crazy.
It really is.
That's crazy. I would have looked at the guy and said, oh, didn't you notice that I was like sawing off one of the legs of the table earlier when I came?
It's bad enough that he's getting out the level and doing everything, but then to treat Mike by just ignoring him.
Right. Sure.
I mean, okay, I understand that pit bosses, they need to watch out for cheaters and, something going on.
Yeah, that's part of their job.
Even though putting a level out there, that's a riot. You know, I mean,
come on.
But, you check it and then maybe you chit chat with a player. I just want to make sure everything's on the up and up. No, it's, and right. At least.
Oh, cause he got lucky and hit a few numbers.
Yeah, like that's never happened.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is Mark and I have lifted up a roulette wheel. They're heavy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I mean, they're very heavy.
I thought you meant like in a casino. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Not in a casino. I mean, we've dealt where we've had to install
moving
one.
It.
Yeah, and they're heavy.
Yeah, they are.
How would that get out of alignment?
Well, no, they do get out of alignment. But to think that this guy, Mike, has come up to the table, he's taking advantage of an unaligned wheel so drastically that, he's making this money this quick.
He hit a $25 bet.
Oh,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, now that you...
Who's ever hit a $25?
Now that you remind me of that.
Who's ever hit a $25 bet?
Yeah. No, seriously, the thing that bothers me the most is just the dealer ignoring him while he did all this. Yeah,
right. He could have just been polite and said, "Oh no, it's just part of our routine. We check the wheel."
Right. Okay, I think we've saved the best story for last because this story to me is mind-boggling. Here we go. We got this email from Jack. He was playing at SLS. And he had lost quite a bit at the high-limit video poker machines and at craps. He's a higher-tier player, kind of like you, Dr. Mike.
All right.
So he decides to try to change his luck at blackjack. He's betting like $25, $50 a hand, one or two hands.
Right.
But it's not getting any better. Yeah, he's still losing. So during a shuffle-up, an employee approached him and introduced himself as the assistant casino manager. He shook Jack's hand, and then he told Jack that the dealer had wrongly paid him for a hand. In other words, there was a hand that had happened, like on the last shoe or whatever, where the dealer had paid Jack when actually Jack had lost the hand. Okay. So this guy asked Jack for his original $50 wager and the $50 he had inadvertently been paid. He wanted Jack to give him $100, the money back for the inadvertent payment and the original wager that should have lost.
Because obviously the casino was going to close down if they didn't get that $100.
Jack said the guy was very matter of fact and clearly didn't want to engage in a conversation about it. Jack said he hadn't noticed, which he hadn't. He didn't notice that there had been a payment where there shouldn't have been.
Well, it's probably one of those hands where it was like, he had 18 and the dealer had 19, thought he had 17.
Yeah, or something like that. Right. Yeah. So anyway, Jack, let me read what Jack wrote here. I was too stunned to argue or request evidence. I handed him $100 in chips, which he gave to the dealer. No further chat or apology or anything else. He just disappeared. As did I soon after to another casino.
Good. And he should never go back.
I can't believe this.
Yeah, I would never play there again if that happened to me.
I mean, it's terrible. I've never heard of anything like this.
It's terrible. Number one, worst case scenario, if there was a mispay and it was like the next hand or a hand later and the pit boss noticed it, say, oh, that last hand, while it's still fresh in everyone's mind, you shouldn't have won. And then they should just ask for the money they paid him back.
The winning, not
money,
for the whole thing.
Not his whole bet.
I agree. Even though I still think that would be wrong. Even if it's like one or two hands later, it's over.
It's over, right. Yeah. What if a player said, 10 hands ago, I wasn't paid and I think I won.
Yeah.
Go check the camera.
Yeah.
You think they'd go check the camera?
Probably
you think
not.
They'd call up?
I mean, unless you really made a scene.
Yeah, they have to make a phone call. They have to rewind the film. They have to go up. And then you could ask to see it. And then they'd have to show you proof of it. I mean, you're opening yourself up for a lot of hassle, right? Yeah. So if the player can't do that, why should the casino be able to do that?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I heard this story.
Yeah, that's a terrible story.
Terrible.
If I was him, I'd never play at SLS again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I mean, why give them your money?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So, if anybody out there has some etiquette questions or, things that they've seen in the casino that kind of irked you or you thought, I wonder if this was right. Yeah, let us know.
You're probably opening up to about 1 million emails.
Yeah, I know. Really. I'll end up just making this big PDF document full of all these complaints, and I'll just send it to everybody. All right, we got an email from Aaron. He was telling us how good, we've talked about maybe going to Chicago casinos, right? Because I have family there. You said you've never been to Chicago?
I was at Chicago for your wedding.
Oh, yeah, sorry. But your wife's not been to Chicago.
My wife has been to Chicago many times.
What am I thinking?
Yeah, she's from Minnesota. She's been there a lot they used to go to a lot of Cub games and stuff. Right. But when I was at Chicago, I spent most of the time at your wedding.
Right.
So I didn't get to see a lot of the city. So I'd like to go and see a lot of the city.
Aaron was saying that as far as craps goes, the casinos in the Chicago area are pretty good. Now it's interesting because like Mitch and Dr. Kev, they live in the Chicago area, but they're not really craps players. So they usually have pretty poor things to say about the casinos in their area.
They're probably basing it on video poker.
Video poker pay tables, that kind of thing, right. But Aaron said that, a lot of the casinos, 10 times odds, 20 times odds, 100 times odds.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and he also reminded us at the Grand Victoria Casino in Elgin, at their craps, first of all, they have 100 times odds, right?
Okay.
They have this thing called craps for cash, okay? Where if you're the shooter and you roll all 6 unique points, kind of like a fire bet winner,
right? You
win $2,500.
Just you, not the table.
Just the shooter. You don't even have to make a separate bet.
Okay.
If you roll all 6, you get $2,500. Now, that's what Aaron said, $2,500. I think originally the payout was $4,000.
Yeah, too many people hitting that.
I guess, I don't know.
Oh God.
But anyway, Aaron said it was $2,500 now. So when you're the shooter, it's actually positive EV. If you're betting like $10, I think it was like less than $25. Right. Now, what good is positive EV if you never are going to hit it? Because you're probably never going to
I never have. I've never done it. But you have.
I've done it
so
once.
You would have hit it.
That's right. But anyway, just a little extra thing. Plus the fire bet there at Grand Victoria, they pay on 3 numbers.
Which I like.
Above, which
I like that.
Too.
Yeah. In the long run, you're going to make more money at that than you are hitting the 6.
Yeah, that's probably true. And he also mentioned that the Horseshoe Casino, which is a Caesars property in Hammond, Indiana, which is just south of Chicago,
right,
has the only 7 stars lounge that's not in Atlantic City.
That's
it's the only
great.
Other one. Yeah.
Why don't they all have 7-star lounges?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I know there's a small group of people, but still,
you got to get us on some kind of junket over there then.
Yeah, we need to do that. We definitely need to do that. That maybe be our next bucket list thing.
Yeah, maybe.
We got to do these things while we're young.
Let's talk about that because we got some questions from a listener coming up where we can specifically talk about bucket list items. Okay.
All right.
We got one more email from Adam. Adam hosts his own podcast too. It's called like Vegas Fun Time.
Okay.
Something like that.
I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah. He got some emails from his listeners, some questions that he just couldn't answer. So he sent them along to us. So let's go ahead and answer those questions for Adam. His listeners wanted to know, where is a good place to learn craps? And I think they were actually kind of asking, like, if I were what casino would be good?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
What I would say, first of all, is, if you can get some software, and there are plenty of places to play free, play money craps online.
Sure.
That's a good way to practice. But I think the best way, if you want really hands-on live, is to try to find a casino party in your area.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Right, where it's for play money.
I don't know. I might argue with that point because a lot of times they're so disorganized.
That could be
at those casino parties,
No, you're right.
They're kind of disorganized and it might actually hurt you.
Yeah.
In the long run because sometimes it's just not run very smoothly.
Yeah. And sometimes the dealers say, "Oh, do you know how to play, or do you know how to deal craps?" And they just, put them on a craps table. That's too. I was kind of thinking when you and I used to deal those casino parties, that was a great way to learn.
That was a good way to learn from us because we were going to tell you the right way to play too.
Yeah.
A lot of times though, the ones I've been to, especially recently, they're so busy and they've got so many people and they're not even that familiar with craps. I have to tell them some of the payouts.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Now
I think a good way to learn would be do this. Either get a book or nowadays you can get it on your iPhone or whatever and read up about the game.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. And then play a little bit online or somewhere free or go get yourself one of those little craps. I mean, we have a thing. We used to have a little tiny felt.
Yeah.
Remember? I mean, it was like you could put it on your kitchen table.
Yeah, right.
And you just roll the dice and make bets. And if you have somebody who knows how to play, show you, be the dealer and show you how
all right,
to play.
Well,
that's a good way.
Let's make it easier for people. All right. Let's say they don't want to actually go out and invest in a craps felt and have somebody.
Then the best thing to do is to go to a casino.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're in Vegas. Go to a casino at a time where it's not going to be very crowded and the casino's not usually that crowded anyway. So my example would be go to Luxor at 7 a.m., 8 a.m.
Yes.
Or 3 a.m. in the morning.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it's better to early,
early
not
morning,
super early, but 7 a.m.,
7
8
a.m., right? Yeah. And there's not too many people on a table. The last time, I think we mentioned this before, the last time we were at Vimp last year, we played at the Golden Nugget at like 8 a.m.
Right.
And there was like 2 tables with nobody on them.
Right. They had like 5 tables and like 4 of them were open, but a couple were empty.
Right. And a couple were just empty. And that's a wonderful place to play.
Yeah.
Because number one, if the dealer's a halfway decent person, he'll help you out a little bit.
Yes.
And you'll learn, you'll make a couple of easy bets like pass line with odds or something. Yeah. And you'll see the dice rolled and you'll really learn to play the game that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot, if you will, as far as how good the dealer's going to be.
Right.
Because I'll tell you, Mike, I hate to say it, but I think in general, and this is a very general statement, dealers are terrible at teaching the game.
Yeah.
You know, so, okay, put your money there. Now you're betting on the shooter. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, right. What do you mean I'm betting on the shooter? Is what? You know, just, you know.
Well, part of that is they have maybe too much knowledge of the game.
Yes. Yeah. So it's harder for them to explain.
It's harder to dumb it down, right? And it's easy for us because we're dumb.
Yeah.
So we start from the very basics and explain, you know, like, oh, here's a die. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll tell you, the absolute best way to learn craps, make your reservations for VIMF. Right. It's October 16th through 18th
right.
at the D Las Vegas. We are planning on having a beginner's crap session, probably Friday or Saturday morning. We're not sure yet. Probably at like Golden Gate.
Right.
You know, and just we'll have everybody there. We'll just take over a table and we'll say, okay,
can answer any questions.
And here, you know, from the very basics, like, okay, when you step up to a table, you know, you don't hand the money over to the dealer. You have to, you know, put it on the table. They can't take it from your hand. Basics like that, right?
Right.
We'll teach you everything.
Speaking of dice, here's another thing you can do.
All right.
I get home last night, just a quick side story. I get home last night, I sit down to watch TV, and our TV's kind of on the wall, but there's a thing underneath it that, you know, has videos and stuff in it and pictures and everything. And on that thing are 2 huge dice.
Okay.
And they're actually kind of blocking the TV.
Yeah.
And I sat there and watched for like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then finally hey, wait a minute. Where'd those dice come from? And my wife looks at me and says, I wondered how long it was going to take for you to notice it. And they actually were blocking the TV a little. I was just looking around them. That's how familiar I am. And they're these huge dice. And she bought them at some store and just as a decoration and laid them on the counter.
And you're just sitting, I wonder why I can't see the whole TV screen. I'm going to have to think about this.
It was so stupid. I'm watching the Padre game and I'm looking around it. And finally it's just like, wait a minute. Those dice weren't there before. You play too much craps when they're just like
it's just background. Yeah, dice. Yeah, so
I probably thought they were burned into my retina. They just weren't there.
That's
they
right.
were just burned
this
into my retina.
This is what looking at the world is like for me. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, when you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. Hey, let's move on to our voicemail hotline. Don't forget, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. Let's hear from Todd.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Todd Goddess calling you from Minnesota. I've got a craps book you might be interested in. I wrote it myself, and I think some of your callers might be interested in reading it. It seems like you get a lot of craps questions, and they like to hear stories. So it's called How a Math Nerd Plays Craps, and it's really geared toward beginners. There's no magic bullet strategy or anything like that, but I talk a lot about the good bets and bad bets and bankroll money management, things like that. But even advanced players, I think, might get some interesting tidbits or might enjoy some of my true stories. So anyway, feel free to post it on your website. I'll send it off in the email just after I get done with the call here. And love the show and hope to hear more. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Now, there's a good way to learn craps.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good way to learn.
You know?
Yeah, Todd and Amanda, we met last week out here at Harrah's. And yeah, this book, it's great because Todd has written it as if he's kind of talking to you. So it's kind of funny. You know, if it does get kind of bogged down in the math, he makes it easy.
Easy reading.
He explains the game, and he's got some pretty good systems too that require you to maybe pull back some bets instead of pressing. so that, you know, on any given shooter, you're more likely to come away from that shooter as a winner.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to post this to the website. So take a look at it. It's called How a Math Nerd Plays Craps. You know, speaking of books too, our friend Taylor emailed us with a couple other book suggestions too. He said there's one, it's called Blackjack Autumn, written by a guy who played blackjack in every Nevada casino.
Wow.
So it's just a bunch of stories. Yeah.
Right.
And another is 1,536 Free Waters and Other Blackjack Endeavors, about a guy who just talks about fun things that happened to him while playing blackjack.
Oh, good.
So yeah,
Those
I'll post links to those. You have to buy those, but Todd's book is free.
Here you
Todd's,
go.
you just go over there and
you
just
can't
download the
beat that.
PDF. Yeah.
A book about craps that's free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's what dreams are made of right there.
That's right. All right, next call.
Hey guys, this is Ryan calling in. Wanted to give you guys a little quick recap of my trip on the Carnival Inspiration Cruise. Went there for a wedding, a little 3-day cruise from Long Beach to Ensenada and back. So I was real excited for the wedding, of course, but the fact that I had craps. So let me tell you how that went over there. It's $5 minimum, only 2 times. But you know, someone like me, I like to set the dice. I know you guys are kind of doubting all that, and that's cool, but if you like to set the dice, you should note that the tables, I notice, are very short and not so much bounce on those tables. It was also kind of funny that a lot of times during the play, the boat would kind of shift, and it was just kind of funny with a game like that. Ready to throw the dice, and all of a sudden, the boat just jerks. But anyway, I had a real good roll over there, but at only 2x, 2 times, it was kind of hard to make money because we were really just there to have some fun, and no one really wanted to go broke on the cruise. We'd rather throw our money at the liquor. But one thing I should also mention that I didn't get to verify, but maybe you guys already know about this. You know, when you're on the cruise, you've got a little card on you that's already connected to your credit card before you even hop on the boat, and everything you spend is on there. Now, you were able to buy chips through your card by swiping your card directly through your credit card. So the reason why I mentioned this is they weren't charging any fee on that. So if you've got a credit card that gets you back maybe 5% on travel awards, 2%, you know, for every $100 you buy in, you're only really paying $95, maybe $98. Maybe you guys can verify that. I don't know. I was buying it with cash. But all right, man. I just want to check in with you guys. It's been a little while since I said hello, but I'm definitely still listening. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.
Now, you've been on a cruise. I've
been on a cruise.
Uh-huh.
I've been on several cruises, and I played craps on all of them.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, the tables are definitely shorter.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a ship, so
Sure.
there's limited room, and they want to get a lot of slot machines in there because they make a boatload of money on slot machines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they do have some blackjack tables and poker table, and they do have craps table.
Did you ever notice the dice kind of doing weird things when the boat would shift?
You know, they didn't do weird things. I wouldn't say that. But yeah, when you're down in Ensenada and you're coming back, you're fighting the waves the whole time. You're fighting it's the flow of the water. You're going against the current, basically.
The current,
yeah. So you bounce around a lot, and the way back is way rougher than the way down.
Yeah.
So on the way back, yeah, I mean, sometimes you'd be getting ready to roll and it seems like the whole table moves because, it's just the boat. But, I don't know. The rolls it didn't seem to matter too much on the rolls. I actually had good luck both times I played craps on a cruise ship.
Nice.
I don't know about buying in though. I just used cash.
Okay.
And now that I think about it, we did have the card because you put everything else. You get a drink. You just give me a drink and you just give them the cruise ship card.
Yeah.
And it just all adds to, so at the end of the cruise, you go and see how much money you've spent.
Yeah.
And you're just floored because, it's like 10 times more than you thought. Yeah. So it's easy to buy drinks. I mean, they kind of want you to do that, right? So you don't have to pull money out all the time. But I didn't try. I bet you can do that.
That'd be interesting because, what's to prevent you though from getting chips with the card and then just going and cashing them out?
You're right.
Right.
Yeah,
and
right.
So they probably would try to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
If anybody knows, let us know.
I don't know if you go to too much. That'd be like a lot of work.
Well, I mean,
bucks.
but they're still going to want to prevent people from just doing that, right?
Sure. Yeah. Right. The funny thing about that is the casinos only open certain times.
Yes.
Because you have to be certain offshore and the boat has to be moving and stuff like that. So, I don't know. You don't have that much time to play. So I guess you could go through a lot of money if you were gambling pretty heavily, but God, if you could put that on your card, then at the end, what if it's like, all right, you owe us $40,000? It's like, I don't have that.
Well, if anybody's done that, let us know. Yeah, I'd be curious.
Yeah, I'd like to know that. I'd like to know if it is, I might be taking a cruise.
All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Mark in Florida. And first of all, I really like your show. Couldn't listen to those stories that people throw in all the time. It's really a lot of fun. My brother and I were out in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and we go out there every year, and we were pretty jazzed to play some craps. Unfortunately, we had some pretty sour crap sessions. The 7 would come up every 4 or 5 rolls. You couldn't get any numbers to repeat. So we started playing some Mississippi Stud at the Golden Nugget and 4 Queens, and I had played that game a bit before. This time I got my brother a little bit more involved, and that was kind of a morale pick-me-up. We had a lot of fun doing that, and I know you guys covered it on one of your shows previously. Kind of compares to Let It Ride in a way, but it's a lot more morally boosting for me. If you have a pair of jacks or a pair of face cards, you can increase your bet instead of take it down like they do with Let It Ride. Anyway, that was a pretty good experience. We lost a couple of times, but we also had a couple sessions where we came back dramatically, getting a nice hand, and we just wonder if there's other experiences out there, or if you all have played that a little bit more. I know the carnival games, they have a lot of these side bets that the casinos like to promote, especially with Let It Ride. They'll give you a hard time if you're not doing the side bets and the bonus bets, which I just ignore. But I'm just curious if you all had any other experiences with that. They don't offer it everywhere in Vegas. We found it just those 2 places downtown, and I know Harrah's on the Strip does, and just wanted to see if you had any comments. Thanks a lot for the show.
Yeah, Mississippi Stud is one of the more fun carnival games.
I think so.
Because there's a basic strategy to it that's a little more complicated than, say, Crazy 4 poker or 3-card poker, where really it's just, you stay in with the queen. Plus, I love how, if you're dealt like a pair of 6s, you push as much money out there as you can, because
you can't lose.
You can't lose. If you have a pair of 6s, worst you can do is push.
Right.
And, maybe you'll improve and get a better
hand.
might
get trips or 2 pair or something.
Yeah, I think it is one of the more fun carnival games.
Yeah, I like it because the fact, like you said, when you are putting more money out there, you're going to win.
Yeah. There are some exceptions where you've got a good draw, but right. Yeah, you're right. Usually when you're putting more money out there,
you either know you're not going to lose or you're not, or you're going to win. You probably aren't going to lose that hand.
Yeah,
I mean, because you're pretty careful until you've got at least a push.
Yeah, and the great thing is you put more money out there, you can put more money out there and win more. So it's I think it's more fun. As a result, it's more fun than a lot of the other carnival games. Yeah,
maybe why it's not in as many casinos.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. What's the house edge on that? We talked about it before. I don't remember.
We did before. I don't remember either. But they do have it up. At Harrah's where we go.
Right.
Right.
Sure,
They've got it there. So
right.
Maybe it's just because people don't know about it. I don't know. 3-card poker seems to be the big game.
Yeah,
I guess it's
all
easy
around
for
the
people,
country,
but
3-card poker seems to be the big game. I mean, there's nothing to 3-card poker except deciding whether you're going to stay in for the end, right?
Yeah, and it's just really you shouldn't be making any of the side bets.
That's right.
And there's a basic strategy to it. I think it's like Queen something. You stay
10
in, right?
Or something
like that. Yeah. So but yeah, Mississippi Stud's a good game.
Good game. Very good.
All right. On the last episode, we talked about the repeater bet that they're offering downtown. And we had mentioned that we thought it was strange that when there's a 7 on the come out roll, like say a shooter's already made a point.
Right. In the middle of a roll.
He's coming out again. He rolls a 7. All those bets lose. That's fine. But then you can't make the bet again until a new shooter. So we had a follow-up call about that.
Hey guys, update on that repeater bet at California Hotel. I believe they killed the bet after established point and you make a 7, because my last day there, the table on the hook, those 4 shooters combined had to dice maybe 200 rolls. They have a counter in the middle of the table with a boss 6 there. And that bet paid a lot. I remember one shooter got up to like 42 rolls, and the 6 and 8, somebody placed it for $3 and he played 9-1 and he hit all six times, so they paid that out. another repeater I seen, just one guy put $10 on the 2 and 12, and that hit on another shooter who went up to maybe, I believe, 32 rolls, and that guy got paid dollars too. So that's why I believe they killed a bet once a point is established and a 7 comes out on the next roll with the same shooter. That's what I can remember from that trip. But thanks a lot.
Well, if that were the case, then the casino is saying, "Oh, we better not let him bet because it's a hot roll."
Yeah, right.
And that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. Because let's say a guy has rolled for a while and somebody won. Let's say they bet on 2, and they won that 2 bet. Then the guy makes his point of 4. He comes out on 7, so they lose all their bets. You'd want him to put it back. The next roll's probably a 7.
Yeah, that's true
right?
too, right?
And they lose again, right? And then put it out again. They could get their money back from that 2 that hit just on collecting the ones that,
Maybe there is some reason that we're not getting, but it certainly wouldn't be because, the casino doesn't want to lose on a hot roller. There's no such thing, right?
Right.
And
well, casino paranoia. I mean, that's probably the real reason.
I've seen pit bosses, superstitious pit bosses, make stupid decisions based on superstition, but, not a casino policy.
Yeah, usually those are computer generated policies.
Yeah.
So they don't tend to be stupid.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to check this bet out next time we're out there. All right. Let's hear from Chris.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Chris from Round Rock, Texas. Staying in Vegas for a few days, and we usually stay at the Caesars properties. We love the fire bet. It's hit 5 points a couple times, 4 points a few times. Hasn't had the 6-pointer. But then we were at Tropicana yesterday, and we love playing craps at the Trop. And the first time I ever played the all small, all tall, all or nothing at all, or whatever they call the middle one. And I thought it was a lot more fun than the fire bet. The fire bet, rarely hits. And when you get close, obviously you hit 2 or 3 points and you're getting there. But that's kind of fun because, someone's rolling a few rolls and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, they just need the 6 and all of a sudden they hit the all small. And so we hit a couple of them. One guy was only an 8 away from hitting all of them. You figure the 8, that should be an easy one. But, at one point, the guy rolled, a 2 and everyone got excited. My wife was like, well, why is everyone excited about the 2? It was like, that was the last for the all small. So it's a fun side bet. And obviously the downside is that if there's a 7 on the come out roller, you lose it. So, a few times I had to put a few bucks back on that. But yeah, a lot of fun. I'm not sure what other places have that besides the Tropicana, either on the Strip or downtown. But yeah, I recommend playing it for a little more fun. Not quite as big a win as the fire bet, but a good time. So love the podcast, and I hope to catch you guys sometime, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
I think almost every craps table in Las Vegas now has either the fire bet or the all tall, all small,
seems
nothing
like
at all.
It.
Yeah,
it seems like that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some that don't, but yeah, they usually one or the other.
Yeah, they're headed that direction. As he was talking, the thing I was laughing to myself. The one thing I like about the all tall, the all small is, you'll have a $300 8 placed.
Well,
and you
might.
Yeah, but you're rooting for 2. You're sitting there thinking, come on, let's see a 2. Let's see a 2. Yeah. You forget about all your other bets. You're trying to win that all small bet,
that's
right?
True.
Or they're on a big roll. It is frustrating though. It drives me crazy when you need like an 8 or a 6. Yeah. It's kind of like when you've made 4 numbers on the fire. And, you need a 6 is one of the ones you haven't made. And you're thinking, oh, come out on a 6.
Yeah.
How hard is that? And then it just doesn't happen. Yeah. Oh, it drives
Well,
you
Chris
crazy.
makes a good point, though, because the all small, all tall, it can creep up on you.
Yeah.
Whereas the fire bet, it's kind of coming and you're close. But you're right. Like he said is, oh, look, all we need is a 4, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Remember that one time, I think when my brother was there with one of his friends, and she was rolling or something, and I hit either the all small or all tall. I think it was at SLS.
Yes, it was.
And I had no clue I was gonna get it. I was watching I was just playing my regular craps, and all of a sudden, we just hit the all small. And all we needed was like one number for the big.
That's right. Yeah, you almost got the whole thing.
We almost got the whole thing.
Yeah, I think almost every casino now, at least in Vegas, has the all tall, all small, or the fire bet, or they may have a new bet that I'm going to tell you about right now, Dr. Mike. And I think you're going to like this bet.
Well, I've heard of it.
Okay. So. We got an email from Jason talking about this new side bet at craps. It's called the hot roller bet. He saw it in Louisiana, and I know they've got it in Delaware as well. But here's how it works. You bet it on the come out roll for a new shooter. Okay.
All right.
And I think on this one, any come out roll after a 7. So unlike the repeater bet, I think you can make this bet after any 7 has come up.
Right.
But anyway, you make it kind of like you do a fire bet. So there's a little location right in front of you where you place the bet, and then the dealers move it to the center of the table like a fire bet, right?
Right.
Okay. It will pay off if all combinations of at least 2 separate point numbers are rolled before a 7. So let me explain that in a little more detail, okay? Right? What are the point numbers? The point numbers are 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
Okay? So when you make this bet, if before a 7, the shooter rolls all the possible ways that you can roll a 6,
All right.
which is 3, 3, 2, 4, and 1, 5,
Right.
and all the possible ways that a shooter can roll a 4, which is 1, 3, and 2, 2, those are 2 separate numbers, 2 separate point numbers that he's rolled. You'll win on this bet, this hot roller bet.
Oh, okay.
So it's at least 2.
At least 2.
Doesn't have to be your point,
Right.
right? We're just talking about the point numbers.
Right.
4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
No craps numbers.
So yeah, again, if the shooter rolls every possible combination of at least 2 point numbers, you win this bet.
Right.
So now keep in mind, there are 2 ways to roll a 4. 1, 3, and 2, 2. I mean, there are 3 ways, but 1, 3 is the same as 3, 1 as far as they're concerned, right? They don't have different colored die.
Right.
So as long as, a 1, 3, and a 2, 2, 2 ways to roll a 5, 2, 3, and 4, 1.
Okay.
3 ways to roll a 6, 3 ways to roll an 8, 2 for 9, 2 for 10, right? So as long as at least 2 point numbers are rolled, all their combinations, you win. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. If he rolls 2, exactly 2, the bet pays 5 to 1. If he rolls 3, the bet pays 10 to 1. If he rolls 4, it pays 20 to 1. If he rolls 5, it's 50 to 1. And if he rolls all 6, it's 200 to 1. And that's a typical table. Tables might change a little bit like that. But I thought you might like this.
Oh, I'd like that. I'd like a shooter to get stuck on 5s and 9s.
Yeah,
right?
because
5, 4, 6,
right,
3,
just
3,
keep
2,
doing
2.
that. It's definitely going to hit more often than a fire bet, at least 2.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Right.
And it's not, the thing about a fire bet, the house edge is so big.
Right.
The house edge here is big too. It's 7.5%. Which is bad, but when compared to a fire bet, that's like 20%, right?
Right.
It's a lot better, right? Yeah.
Well, you know what we need to make a prototype craps tables.
Okay.
The Mark and Dr. Mike craps table.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be monster big, right? It's going to have fire beds.
Yep.
It's going to have hot roller beds.
Yep.
It's going to have the all tall, all small, and it's going to have the sharpshooter bed. and it's all going to be up on the layout, right? You got to place everything. The box man's going to have to, be Stephen Hawking not the young Stephen Hawking.
Okay.
to be able to figure out, what's going on.
Yeah. All right.
But, wouldn't that be great if everything was on a table?
It'd be huge.
And we'd have all the regular stuff.
Sure.
Not the big 6 and 8. Because
good
we're
for you.
vehemently
Good.
Against that.
All right, good.
But we'd have all the other bets. This would be a big, huge table. 20 people on each side. Seats 40 people.
It's a good idea. Well, I'm going to keep an eye out for this bet. I don't know of any places where they have it in Vegas, but I think
we'll have to watch
I thought that'd be right up your alley.
Yeah, it might be coming.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if we owned a casino, we'd have a big, huge craps table with all the possible bets. We'd either go out of business in like a day because somebody would hit it and wipe us out, or we'd be the wealthiest people in America.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We got an email from Mitchell, and he's got a question. He sent us a bunch of questions, and one of the questions is kind of related to what you were just talking about, right? So Mitchell sent us a bunch of questions. We're just going to go through and answer these questions. You ready?
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Fire 'em at me.
Listener mail questions. Here we go. Here's his first question. What is your favorite carnival game?
Oh, that's easy.
What's that?
Mississippi Stud.
It's so funny we were talking about it, but yeah, Mississippi Stud. For all the reasons we talked about. Yeah, I agree.
Well, you can't find that Caribbean Stud.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm kidding. Oh, I hated that game.
I know.
It was terrible.
That's why it's died, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Oh, yeah. All right. Mississippi Stud, we both agree. Okay. What is your favorite vintage Las Vegas casino? One that's since been closed down or destroyed?
Silver City.
Oh, very good. Okay, that
Silver
we were
City.
talking about last time.
Yeah, I like Silver City. I won 20 straight hands of blackjack at Silver City.
You sure? That's right. It's Silver City. Oh, we were talking about Silver Slipper last week. I'm sorry.
we were talking about
You're
Silver
talking
Slipper.
about Silver
I'm
Slipper.
talking about Silver
City on the other side of the street.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
right, on the other side of the street. Yeah.
That's right. I remember you hitting all those blackjack.
All in a row.
You know, for me, it's got to be Stardust.
Oh, yeah,
There
I
was
like
something
Stardust,
about
too.
Stardust, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it sounded fancy. Oh, we're going to the Stardust.
It wasn't fancy.
Yeah, it wasn't fancy, but it sounded good. Oh, we're going to the Stardust. It sounded like
I love the Stardust, and it was a great place to make sports wagers too. A lot of the lines were established at the Stardust. You know, everybody would follow the Stardust.
I'll
example.
tell you another place that I think we both liked, but probably not very many people would like. Desert Inn.
Okay.
The Desert Inn.
Yeah.
It was always dead in there.
It was always dead.
It was always dead. We would go to the Desert Inn. High rollers were there all the time.
Yeah, it'd be like a $25 minimum table. You know, nobody's in the casino.
Right, nobody's in the casino. High roller. I mean, you could hear a pin drop most of the time in there. But it was great if you wanted just a lot of room. And,
Yeah. Okay, what is your favorite gambling or Las Vegas themed movie?
I've got two.
Okay.
And one is Viva Las Vegas.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Because Anne Margaret is hot. And I like Elvis too.
I like some of the songs in that. There's a duet they sing that I particularly like from there.
That's
all right,
number
okay,
one. And then number two would, I guess, have to be Let It Ride.
Let It Ride.
Yep, Let It
The
Ride.
movie that gets like 1.5 stars, but we love
God,
it.
it's
I
such
know,
a great
it's
movie.
So good. Yeah, I would definitely say Let It Ride.
And you know what's funny? I don't like Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh, really? You don't care for him in other stuff? He's just kind of...
I don't dislike him.
Okay.
He's just like, I'm not a big Richard Dreyfuss fan.
Yeah.
You know, but in Let It Ride, he was great.
Yeah. I also like Hard 8. I don't know if you've seen this movie before. It's a drama.
It's still on my DVR at home.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you should watch it sometime.
I know. I haven't watched it. It's still on the DVR.
Yeah, I recommend that, though. It's a drama. It's not a comedy by any means, right? But, yeah. Okay. What is your favorite gambling destination, not including Las Vegas or Harrah's, Southern California?
You know, this question would be better to ask my brother.
No,
because he's been all over the world and seen a lot of places. I haven't been all over the world like that. Our actual gambling in different locales is limited.
I agree. It's
really
true.
Compared to a lot of people. If I can't go to Vegas or Harrah's, Southern California, I don't know, probably Atlantic City.
We had such a good time in Atlantic City. That's my answer too.
Yeah, we had a great time in Atlantic City. You know, Laughlin, I'm not so big on. Elko's okay, but I'm probably never going back.
I can't see us ever going back to Elko, no.
My brother, I'm going to ask him that, and we'll find out what he would say.
But we had a blast in Atlantic City.
Yeah, we had a blast.
That's easily my answer. Okay. All right. What gambling destination is tops on your bucket list?
Well, I'd like to go to that casino in Singapore that my brother was at.
Oh, yeah?
Because it looked pretty cool and he talked about it and he had a lot of fun things to say about that. I guess I'd want to go to Monte Carlo. I mean,
sure.
In Europe. Not Monte Carlo in Las Vegas.
Hey, great.
But yeah, those probably would be my top two. Macau. I mean, that'd just be
Macau,
fun.
I guess. Yeah. I would have to say it would be the Connecticut casinos for me. Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods.
Right. We need to go up there.
I'd love to go there. And I can't see an obvious situation where we'd get up there. I never traveled to that part of the country.
No, we don't have any relatives in that part of the country.
So
we might go to Chicago because we both have relatives.
Right. There's a reason to go there. Yeah, exactly. Okay, here's a great question. Did you ever actually get around to playing Big Nut's second best OMA draw from episode 50? More importantly, did anyone get kicked in the nuts? How about Tabletop Puncher from the April Fool's episode?
Well, you'll have to answer that. Did you play any of those?
We never played any of those. We never played them, thank goodness. Although I will say this, it's funny about the April Fool's episode. We've been getting a lot of new listeners, and they've been going back and listening to our old episodes.
Right.
And a lot of them get to that April Fool's episode, and since they're listening to it now, they're not listening to it on April Fool's Day. Their guard is down.
They're listening in
bit.
August, and they're like, what?
I've gotten a few responses like, either you got me or, you bet 5,000 on the Padres to win over 100 games. Oh my gosh. So I know we've gotten a few people because they're just not ready for an April Fool's joke, in August.
When
right?
you listen to old episodes,
exactly.
that can happen. I'll tell you what, though, I do feel like I get kicked in the nuts every Friday night.
Yeah, sure. When we go out to the casino.
Yeah.
It's not literal,
I don't
but
literally
like
get kicked in the nuts, but I feel like it.
Sure. Yeah. The ride home is always tough for you. I always drive because you're doubled over.
I'm doubled over in agony.
Yeah. Okay. In the same way video poker players seek out better pay tables or blackjack players better rules, Do you ever look for the best rules when it comes to craps? Or at least have you ever passed up a game once you've discovered the rules weren't good? For example, only double odds, poor pay on the prop bets, etc.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, unless we're in a situation where it's the only casino around,
right?
Like Elko,
right?
But no, if we're in Las Vegas and we see that, oh my gosh, it's only double odds here,
we'll probably just walk.
Especially if there's another casino available, sure,
right? If it's close enough. I mean, for us to play at a double odds table, we almost have to be doing it because there's people there we want to play with.
Yeah, right.
Or, that's the only place available. I mean, there has to be some reason like that. If there's a place next door that gets better odds, we'll just go there.
Sure. I know when we were playing at Four Queens last year, it turned out that you had to pay the VIG up front on buy bets, which is unheard of in Las Vegas. And the only reason we stayed there was we were trying to get comp time to go eat at the
Hugo
Cellar, right?
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, we would have moved on. There was nothing special about Four Queens rules.
No.
Yeah. Next question. If you could meet any famous gambler or anyone important to the history of gambling, dead or alive, who would it be? You have an answer?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind meeting Benny Binion. Just to meet him.
I think it'd be Binion for me too. Sure.
Yeah,
he was a character. Ultimately he was a murderer.
Right.
So, I can't say that he's an idol of mine in any way, but I'm sure he'd have some stories.
Well, what gambler really is? I mean, do you have a gambler that you'd say is an idol of yours?
Well, no, I guess not. No.
I mean, no.
I'm trying to think of like poker players.
Yeah, there's some that I'd really like to meet, but I don't say they're an idol.
They're not, no, but I'd like to meet and hear some stories. Sure,
right,
sure.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to. What about Jimmy the Greek?
Maybe. I don't know. He might be a little too much.
He just seemed kind of, well, he's dead now.
Yeah, but no.
He seemed a little, I don't know, interesting to me in some ways.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah. I would, what I'd actually like to see is two people talking to each other. So in other words, I'd like to see Benny Binion talking to Jimmy the Greek, right?
That'd be
and
great.
see what that would be like. Listen in.
You're calling each other names. How about Bob Stupak and Steve Wynn?
Oh, sure. Of course. That'd be fantastic. Can you imagine? Because I'm sure they met. I'm sure they've had conversations, right?
I'm sure at some time in the past they must have talked.
Yeah. Are you guys nervous at all about performing live at VIMF this year? I'm not really nervous. I keep thinking, well, what are we going to talk about? I have a feeling since it's so late in the VIMP weekend that we're just going to talk about everything that we've done that weekend so far.
Yeah, I don't know. We usually don't have a hard time talking.
It's true. That's never really an issue for us. Plus, bingo's going to be going on in the background.
Yeah, right.
So if there's a lull, we just
I'll just call out bingo numbers.
That's right, exactly.
B48.
Oh, Mike, have you ever played bingo? All right, last question. You have the following choice. You can either A, continue with your lives as they are now, working a day job and doing wagers for fun and leisure, or B, you get to own your very own casino that you can run however you want, and you're secure in living off the house edge, but you can't gamble at anything ever again. What's your answer?
Oh, without a doubt, my answer's A.
It's A.
Yeah, and the reason it's A is not because the gambling. It's because my life is great because of my wife and children.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
And I wouldn't trade that for anything.
The last thing I need is to be in charge of a casino.
Right. We talk about that in a half-jokingly way.
If we owned a casino.
What we do if we owned a casino.
Yeah.
But, it would be way too much pressure. You don't need that in your life. I mean, our lives are good.
Yeah.
We have fun with our families.
Yeah.
And it would still be nice to gamble too.
Yeah, I know. I'd be watching all the people at the craps tables thinking, why can't I play?
Yeah, and you'd just be nervous like your house is going to lose. It'd be a whole different mindset.
That's right. That's why you won't let them make that repeater bet once the 7 comes on the come out roll, right? You don't want to lose the house.
You don't want to lose the house.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Oh, a couple of things before we go there. We wanted to say hello to a relatively new podcast. It's called Faces and Aces, Las Vegas. This is a really good podcast, very well produced. It sounds great. The editing is great. The hosts are very engaging. It's kind of fun. I recommend that. Faces and Aces LV. Also, we want to give a big thank you to our pal Ed for the PayPal donation he gave us this last week. Yeah. He said he was donating because you had a dream about him.
Oh, boy. Well, in that case, I better start dreaming. I got to get some more dreams.
Yeah, just to everybody, all our listeners. Oh, Hank, I had a dream about you.
Well, I had a dream about Ed because I actually know him, right? I mean,
hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonThat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat.com. No, you can bet on that at gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at You Can Bet On That. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/You Can Bet On That. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. This is the point of the show where I throw it over to you, Dr. Mike.
All right. Well, I'm excited for some reason. I don't know why. It's just we've been doing well at craps.
It has been going well lately. Yeah, nice turnaround.
We've been making comebacks when we need to. I just hope this continues through the end of the year.
Yeah, really. We need it to go all the way through the end of the year.
It'd be nice to go to Vimp and, not be out of money on Friday afternoon.
That's right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming to You Can Bet On That. You're probably wondering where Dr. Mike is. He's trying to get some more money. Right. He won't be joining me today. I'll open the floor up to questions.
Yeah, the ATM is closed due to the head mark that he left in it.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.